I drink. Right, here we go then. SDN Season 7 heads to one of the most iconic venues in motorsport history. We are here at the British GP in Silverstone. And after a chaotic and mistake-filled work weekend in Hungary, the championship battle tightens even more as we arrive at the birthplace of Formula One history. The sprint saw Lucas take victory, but the feature race told a very different spectacle as Lucas' races were unravelled after getting stuck in traffic, small errors compounding into a frustrating result. And Kip capitalised brilliantly to take the win, with just Sasha and Stefan ran off a strong podium for Stefan's first podium in a very long time. I think his first podium in SDN. There's some cars making their way on the circuit. Remember, it is short qualifying. For the Red Bull drivers, though, Hungary was a weekend of what could have been, but Eric and Christian had some serious pace, front-running pace, but the two time good in turn one and the sprint set the tone as well. In the feature, unfortunately happened again. Mistakes, pressure, and missed opportunities costing big points in championship that is now incredibly tight at the top of the field. Sasha leads on 71 points. Eric is just behind on 68 points. Sasha is here, and so is Eric as well. Kevin Zuckerberg is also there too. Kick is not here, so he is skiing, I think, in Austria, so hopefully he has an amazing time. But now we arrive at the Silverstone Grand Prix, 5.891 kilometers of flowing high-speed commitment and 18 corners and legendary sequences. There is a circuit that punishes hesitation and rewards bravery, and if you get it right, it is absolutely magnificent. And Happy Meal says good morning, mate. I'm not quite sure where you are right now, Happy Meal, but I'm pretty sure it is the evening in the UK, but not quite sure in where in the world you are right now if you're saying good morning. But good morning to you, mate. Hopefully you're doing all right, and hopefully you can bounce back as well. And also, Kick won here, I think, last season at the British GP, if I remember correctly. Lucas finished in P2, and Happy Meal finished in P3 after he was trying to get Lucas and Kick. But unfortunately for him, those two just sailed off into the distance, and Happy Meal was unable to catch. Well, Fireblade spun out, didn't he, at this corner here in Luffield. But Matt gets back into Chapel, one of the most greatest corners complexes in the world of motorsport. You have to throw the car in with absolute confidence, speed, balancing the throttle and steering at over 250 kilometers an hour. Cops corner, flat out if you can, which should be flat out and easy to make mistakes under pressure as well. We've got some huge braking zones down towards turn 3, the first corner, the first proper braking zone. We've got the Wellington and Hanger Straights with DRS will be enabled, and the overtake button 2 for good measure, and we'll see what happens going down in towards those corners. But the first man on a lap time is Woodsy in the Kick Sauber. He heads down in towards turn 3 now, and let's see how he does on his first flying lap. I believe he finished, I think, in P11 at the Hungarian Grand Prix last week. Unfortunately for him, it wasn't really a spectacular result. There's plenty of chaos avoided at the Hungarian Grand Prix as he heads down in towards Brooklands right now to get the car and the nose pointed in. Oh, he loses the car dramatically as well. And you can see him just applying a bit too much throttle there for good measure, being a bit too greedy on the throttle there. And unfortunately for him, it cost him his lap time as well. He has an ability to still go, but this lap time will be ruined and be nothing short as far as Kevin Zundberg now heads towards Luffield we go. And this is how you should take it. But Kevin Zundberg looks like he's not on a flying lap. It is a bit cloudy out there too, so I wonder if he's doing a second lap to get the tyres fully in the working operating window. So we tried to look for somebody on a natural flying lap. We'll see if anybody else out there is on the flying lap. We've got many drivers out there too for good measure. Let's see who is for Happy Meal could not get that win, unfortunately, that lucrative first win as he makes his way now towards Brooklands, Luffield and Chapel we go. DRS enabled on this main straight. Sergio Perez spun there back in 2021. We don't really see many people make a mistake in nowadays in F1 in Magnussen Beckers, but Lucas was the first driver to set the benchmark. It's a 25.596. Kevin's retired, and I presume that's in the pit lane then. Kevin Zundberg has left the session. Wow, so he's gone then. I'm not quite sure what happened there to Kevin. But here comes Happy Meal now, coming towards the final corner he goes. It's going to be a 25.474. And now he goes towards the top of the pecking order too. Mark goes up into P3 in the Aston Martin. Hasn't been the best races for him either. Fireblaze goes up into P3 in the Mercedes, who finished in P4 back at the Hungarian Grand Prix. And he won the Austrian Grand Prix, didn't he? But he's still there lurking in the stands, still there to be a threat. And he can be a threat on his day. But I think he's more like a laid-back driver now, rather than aggressive like we used to see type of driver, a former two-time champion of SDN. But here comes Eric now out of the final couple of corners on this racetrack. Let's see what the Dutchman does. He goes up into P2. Eric has been on great form so far, 2 wins this season. But here, in the last race in Hungary, it hasn't gone spectacularly well for the Dutchman. Once again, it's a Red Bull 1-2. But the problem is, though, the kryptonite is themselves, because they trip over each other's shoulders, or should I say toes. But Paraseem goes towards the top now with a 25.3. Another unknown is Paraseem. You know, he's like a reserve driver. He's popular. And I think Paraseem picked up a podium in JSR, didn't he, back in the British GP. But he has got a pace of Paraseem, but sometimes he's like an unknown, like an enigma type of driver as well. But Khatakas in P14, not a driver to be unknown. His Alpine teammates gone at the session due to unknown reasons. Hopefully Kevin Zundberg can provide us with an answer. He does usually talk to me, but Kevin Zundberg is out of the session and left the session too, so I'm not quite sure if WO is starting, if it has started. But if it has started, then why would he join the session in the first place? But I believe that's on 8 p.m. But Khatakas Jens, unfortunately, has invalidated there too. Remember that massive, colossal battle we had 2 seasons ago? I think it was Eric versus... Oh, he's back. Oh, I think it was a connection issue. So I think his car retired in the pit lane because he left the session. And that glitch has been known to happen before as well. So it could have been that glitch where he left the session, retired himself in the pit lane. And what a shame there for Kevin Zundberg. Remember, this is not long qualifying. This is short qualifying, as Colin is taking shortcuts there too for good measure, as he's trying to get a lap time on the board there, but unfortunately struggling around here at this over 5.8 kilometre circuit. But Silverstone is where the very first Formula 1 championship was held back in 1950. It's a racetrack built on history, speed and legendary battles. Tyre wear can be brutal through the high-speed corners, especially the left one too, in Cobbs and Stowe. And time management is going to be absolutely essential, because the one-stop strategy is the strategy you'll be looking forward into the race, because if you do a two-stop, you lose a monumental amount of time in the pit lane. So you don't want to do a two-stop strategy if you can help it, which you shouldn't do anyway. But a safety car can only negate that. But on a normal race strategy, it is a one-stop strategy. The tyres don't degrade too heavily around here, but it depends how brutal you are in the first stint, how punishing you are in the first stint. If you go aggressive, if you're more passive, more laid back and more attacking towards the end of the race. It's the hard compound tyres, the favourable tyres in any race circuit. The hard compound tyres are the best, but the medium compound tyres will wear off quite quickly once they reach a certain age. Sasha, our championship leader. Now Sasha has been nipping up the bud quite quietly in this championship. Yes, he had a win back in Australia, but he's been racking up some podiums as well. A P2 back at the Austrian Grand Prix, unknown as well, because Eric spun out. Lucas had his problems too, and also Happy Meal had his problems as well. So he's been slowly but quietly gaining those points, whilst others fall backwards on their mistakes. Sasha's been there to grab the rewards and capitalise. And let's go on board with the championship leader as we swoop down towards turn 1 and turn 2. Flat out right-hander, flat out right left-hander too. Headed down in towards the first breaker, so breaking on the curb there, down through the gears, missed the apex slightly, but bring it over to the right side to open up the XC. Through loop we go. Don't really kiss the inside there, but on the throttle we go now. This is where we saw Felipe Massa spun out back in 2013, and also Felipe Massa crashed here too in Brooklands 2014. 1 year later, Kimi Raikkonen just bounced off the track at the exit of the loop, and the Caterham and Kamima Kobayashi got involved too. That hectic first start in 2014, but I think Lewis Hamilton went on to win that Grand Prix because Nico Rosberg suffered a gearbox problem too. And 2 years later, Nico Rosberg also suffered a gearbox issue too, whilst fighting with Verstappen. Did you know that Nico Rosberg suffered a 10-second penalty due to team radios? Yes, you heard that right. I think some of you may be too young, but back in 2016 and 15, maybe 16 actually, there was a team radio limit communication, so only certain things were allowed to be told by the drivers. It was more of the drivers had to do it themselves, and it cost some people back in 2016, especially McLaren and Honda too, because Bottas Button had a brake problem back in Hungary, but he wasn't allowed how to be told to fix it or negate it or mitigate it. So that led to his penalty, and rightly so, on the radio got frustrated saying the brake problem is not a safety solution. But enough of that, let's go on board with Sasha. The Ferrari man comes across the line, goes P3 with a 25.503. You know me, I'm a history, I do love it indeed. As Happy Meal comes towards Luffield we go. Let's see what the Dutchman does. Will he be happy now? It's a Ferrari, Red Bull, Ferrari, Red Bull. Look at that. Are they going to work together? Good sportsmanship, good etiquette there from Eric. I expected better of him as well. But look at Lucas and Eric. 1,000 separating the two Dutchmen. So that's incredibly close at a track like this, where it's so tight, the mirrors and margins. As we head down towards the hangar straight we go. Let's see how he does. Coming through Stowe, flick the car in at high speed, down towards 5th gear. Really trying to attack the exit you can. As we now head towards the final 3 corners on this racetrack. It's very easy to mess up through here. Even myself, I just struggled with this part because the tyres are so hot and you're ambiguous to get on the throttle. Here comes Happy Meal as he takes pole by 1100ths of a second, and that is super tight between first, second as well. And Eric, his teammate, is about to set sail on his next second flying lap. Elsewhere, we've got Lucas, we've got Fireblaze in the middle sector, down by 6600ths of a second is Fireblaze, but Lucas in the other Williams, his teammate is not here tonight, as Lucas won the sprint race back at the Hungarian Grand Prix. I keep saying Austria because Kick is there. But here comes Lucas now, flowing his way towards Maggis, Beckett and Chapelwood. Look at the launch he got off the curb as well. Remember Danny Kvyat back in 2020 when he picked up that suspension failure or puncture and it caused a massive crash indeed. But Lucas is 0.2 of a second. He gets a toe off the Haas there, who pulls out at the very last second indeed, as the Williams driver now flicks his way, but he goes a bit wide as Siebes retired. Power Sieb has crashed on the track. And looks like he's halfway down towards the straight too. So how on earth has he managed that? As he makes his way now towards the final couple of corners. Is Lucas about to take pole? The answer is yes. With a 25.247, Lucas has some decent results back here in the past spot in Silverstone. So looking very strong so far. Here's the Dutchman, whilst his teammate's not here. Mark goes up into P4 in the Aston Martin. Let's see what Eric is doing. Eric, look at that. 5/10 up in this middle set. The Dutchman on rails. The Dutchman absolutely flying in this qualifying session. Now, all he needs to do, keep it nice and tidy. Don't overdo it. Don't get the power too late or too early, sorry. As he makes his way now towards line, he goes a 25.182 from Eric as he takes back pole position by just under a 1/10 of a second there between himself and Lucas. Lucas is stuck in a Red Bull sandwich indeed, but this qualifying is ramping up, getting more and more intense. I wonder if other players might be involved too. Remember, this is short qualifying, not long qualifying, just for those who are wondering why I'm saying or getting excited about it. But Eric then with a 25.182. I love short qualifying the better, because obviously it's well, you've got to wait a long time, of course, but short qualifying, you can just set multiple runs. And I took part in a league where I did long qualifying, and long qualifying, it was a reset after reset after reset. So basically I had to adjust and do laps again, because you're under massive pressure in Q1, Q2 and Q3, for example, because you may have a good lap time in Q1, but you're on the absolute limit as well. Given how tight the bunch is, one little mistake, even though you've got the pace to make your way through to Q2 and Q3, can be dignifying indeed for your race. So that's why it's so important. And when I used to do long qualifying, I got myself knocked out in Q1 and Q2 because the pressure just got to me, even though I know I had the pace to get into Q3. But short qualifying is better, in my opinion, because you can set those consistent lap times. There isn't a reset, there isn't adapting the track. You've got to adapt to the track, but it's still constant, it's still flowing. And the conditions are really much the same as well, unless, of course, rain is impacting the circuit. But we've got 4 minutes left to go in this session. And just in time as well, my co-commentator, the Dutchman and the legend of Milan Langer is here with me in the party. Hi, mate.
Hello. Thank you very much there. So, yeah, just in time. We've got short qualifying here. I'm all right, thank you. Good to see we've got short qualifying, and I agree that it is better, in my opinion, for league racing. So I could see that, of course. We have got a little bit of a lower number than usual, but yeah, we'll have to take this through. But fine by me. But we've got a need. 4 minutes to go. Everyone is in pit lane, apart from Colin in the Haas, but he is low on fuel, so I don't think he is improving at all. No, he's not. He's down there in P11, so then it's just going to be the waiting game for who is going to come out first for their final runs. Erik at the moment has got provisional pole position, but the gaps are quite slim. The entire top 4 within 1.5 tenths, though Parosim has retired, so he will not be improving on that. But still, Mark and Sasha usually can be quite quick. Sasha down there in 6th place. Do expect him to be a bit higher up, but he's only 3 tenths away from Erik, so really it is anyone's game. Lucas, good to see him back on form as well. We know that he had quite a few tricky, should we say, qualifying sessions over the past couple of weeks. Of course, Hungary last week was quite an improvement. Before that, not making Q3, but he is back on form, and it's good to see. Currently on the front row, and could be one to take away that pole position, only 65 thousandths of a second away from Erik at the moment. In a Red Bull sandwich, Happy Meal and Erik might not be the best of friends after what happened last week at the Hungaroring, so let's hope they won't come together once more tonight during the British Grand Prix. Of course, both of them looking quite strong in the championship as well, so they want to maximize those points, but rather individually than as a team, which is also something you have to focus on when you're in a championship fight. But we've got 2.5 minutes to go, and Lucas is going to be the first one to go out on track for their final runs, and we'll see, can he go that little bit quicker to steal away Erik's time, or can Erik improve himself and secure that pole position? That's going to be a question we'll get an answer to in roughly 1.5 minutes time.
2 minutes towards the end of this qualifier session, and the pressure is now starting to ramp up as all the drivers are making their way back on the circuit to conclude their final runs in qualifying. We saw Lucas who took pole and Kick who took pole back in the feature and sprint race, but Lucas couldn't convert it into a victory, although he did in the sprint due to the 2 Red Bull drivers tripped themselves up. Happy Meal says he's made up with Erik, so both of them have kissed and made up, and hopefully those two can get along once again. I know Erik and Happy Meal are 2 feisty drivers indeed on their days, and non-driver wants to give the pride whatsoever, but they got to work together, like you said. We saw back in USA as well, that double Red Bull podium for the first time this season, although Miles Marcus got his penalty removed. Miles Marcus and also Kick are both in Austria skiing as well, so I'm not quite sure if they're together in Austria, but if they are, have an amazing time, stay safe skiing and having an amazing time there as well, whilst we are commentating here in Silverstone. And typical, well, I say typical, it's sunny out there in Silverstone, but it's been raining the past couple of days here at the British GP, well, not the British GP, in the UK, I must say. But here comes now Lucas towards the final couple of corners. He's about